one of my customers has a very heavy presence on Amazon, and my customer was able to secure a deal, which would give her a 25% discount on her inventory, but she needed the money within 2 days.
Hello, Saf. Welcome back to the show. For those who don't know you or for those who didn't see your first episode, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back on as well, Brian. Really appreciate that. So my name is Zafir Tharani. I'm a senior account executive at a company called Thinking Capital. I've worked in the finance industry for the last 4 years and in sales and marketing for the last 10 years. And I'm happy to be back here as well. I really enjoyed the first episode, so I was really looking forward to the next one. And thanks for having me again on.
No problem. It's always fun to chat with you. And even when we were working together, you're one of the great guys that always came by with a smile, came by to chat me up.
I appreciate that.
There are a lot of finance concepts that I think would have benefited a lot of people if they had learned about it in school. So, for example, interest rates and how inflation works. I think for anyone who's running a business, managing cash flow is super important, and always figuring out the difference between interest rates and how that plays into managing their cash flow and their budgets in their business.
Right.
So you work with a lot of small business owners. So can you go into a few popular reasons that you come across, for people that need access to funding or financing?
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, a lot of the time, you're going to get various reasons for why people are looking for funding. Not every single person has the same reason to go and get some extra financing, but you will find a common trait. So we say that when we're looking at SMBs and financing for small to medium-sized business, you see that there is a trend of what type of financing that they're looking for, but you see that there's also a trend in the purpose of the financing. I could tell you that the vast majority of people, when they say that they're looking for cash flow doesn't entail specifically just cash flow to have a secure amount of capital. There's a specific reason behind why they're looking for that capital. Most of the times, small to medium-sized businesses have a lot of growth at the very beginning. That's what makes them an SMB, trying to get to the next level. So a lot of them are investing in their inventory. A lot of them are investing in doing renovations. And a lot of them are trying to market. We've become really heavily invested in an era where if you're not marketing your business, if you don't have a structured online presence, it's very difficult to stay up with the competition. So I would tell you that one of the main things that I'm seeing now is really for inventory and for marketing, there's been a huge push in the last couple of years for people asking for financing.
Yeah, I definitely see that on my end as well, working with small business owners, startups, doing their advertising, their online advertising has kind of given me a peek behind the curtains because I don't have the full view on their finances, obviously, being the marketing guy. But I do know for them, a big part of it is trying to figure out their online presence, trying to take whatever money they have to leverage to grow their business through, for example, SEO, through paid digital ads, like on Facebook, on Google, sometimes even dabbling in YouTube ads, right? And for them, a lot of it is trying to figure out, okay, how much should I spend? How much should I spend on a monthly basis? Where's that money coming in from? And a lot of them, they're willing to take on risk because, being entrepreneurs, to get access to financing and funding so that they can make that growth happen. And this kind of reminds me of like a Chinese saying, and it's similar to the quote. Wherever there's danger, there lurks opportunity.
So
Danger,
true, though. So true.
opportunity, risk,
Absolutely true.
reward. They all go hand in hand. Um, and for me, I'm like small business owner, entrepreneur mindset. I'm quite risk loving when it comes to debt and growth. So my philosophy is like, as long as I can leverage that credit to grow my business while still making sure that the debt is serviceable,
Yeah.
I, I'm happy to turn, uh, let's call it 10% interest. But if I can take that 10%, that $100, but I have to pay back $110, totally fine if I can generate $300.
Of course. And there's many ways to look at it. I mean, you're giving a great example already, Brian, which is like you're willing to spend X amount of dollars to gain X amount of dollars as well. But there are those circumstances where customers or small and medium-sized businesses are going to be looking for money, and it's going to come at a more expensive rate. But there's so many things to consider. So I'll give you an example. If today I have an online retail business, and let's say I specialize in selling accessories, like winter accessories. So when I'm looking at my cost of ROI, I'm looking simply at the time that, if you look at a simple ROI, you're looking at the time that you've invested the money and the time frame that you're going to have the return. What is your profit margin, and what is your cost of borrowing that money? Now, when you take all those factors into account, you may say, hey, you know what? I need the cheapest rate possible to make money on this order. But there's a second way to look at it as well. And a really big point that a lot of small and medium-sized businesses tend to miss is that even when you're taking a small amount of capital at a higher rate or a higher cost of acquisition, because as a small and medium-sized business, most of the times you're going to be acquiring credit at a higher rate, which is absolutely normal because it goes with the risk of funding. Now, when you're utilizing that money, whether it be that you're selling your product, but it takes you 3 months to get back that profit, even if you're breaking even on that first loan for the cost of profit that you're going to get for that first order that takes you 3 months, once that first order is paid back after the first 3 months, whether it be for your inventory or a new product that you're selling or a new service that you're offering, if you're able to see that profit come back within a shorter period of time, even if you break even on the interest, you have a whole set of money that you didn't have at the beginning that you can now reinvest another 3 times during the year. So by having, let's say, $50,000 and you had to pay back 55 in a very short period of time, and you only made $5,000, or let's say that was your break even, you now have another $55,000 that you never had to reinvest in the business 3 or 4 times again. And that's the beauty about that, is that when you're a small and medium-sized business, you really have to consider the percentage of growth and the cost of growth. Because just like there's an ROI, there's a cost of growing your business. And having that kind of access to credit, even if you're breaking even, can help you grow the business exponentially. Not to mention that even if it's coming at a higher rate, you have to keep in mind that from those customers that you're servicing, you've just now grown your pool of clients. So you have the potential of getting those customers back naturally without even marketing. Additionally, you know that those customers have been serviced, so they're going to come back to you. So not only have you grown your book of business for the lifetime book of business that you already have, growing your business exponentially, you now have also additional cash flow in the business that's going to help you grow your business and make larger orders, larger renovations, larger services that you want to offer.
Yeah, I think it's almost like the credit card analogy where like you have a certain limit. It's expensive money still, but that's like you use a credit card and you keep paying the interest rate or whatever it is. It's basically the same thing, but taking out a loan gets you access to a larger amount that you can work with much quicker. And I think there's and another way to sometimes for me to think about it is that it's almost like tiers where, okay, let's say you have $15,000, you can do, something with that,
Yeah,
but getting access to like $50,000, it's not a linear scale. It's not like, okay, you do 30,000, you can do double. Yes, you kind of do double, but then actually the 30K thereafter can actually be exponential growth.
absolutely. You should never be looking at the short-term gain of just growing it by that 30K. That 30K represents a monumental rise in your business and a monumental rise in revenue, because it is going to show you the structure of growth and the percentage you're looking at. If you're doing double, you're already looking at 100% growth. It gives you great vision of what can be possible. And you mentioned something absolutely very key, talking about credit cards. Credit cards are the number one way to stop growth in a business. And I mean this in the nicest way, because credit cards are really a tool which everyone needs. You need a business credit card. It's a must, because as you're going through your daily expenses, you need something there that's you're going to be able to use for your cost of expenses. But if you have larger projects, if you want to make heavy investments in the business, and not necessarily large amounts, I'm talking like 10, 20, $30,000, you don't want to put that on a credit card. First of all, if you're looking to just get a cash deal, or you need actual money to pay for something and you can't do it through a credit transaction, you never want to pull out that money. You're going to be paying 20% right off that pull, and you have a 5% per month penalty on the interest of the balance remaining on the card. Not to mention, you'll probably TKO your credit score, because your credit utilization will be off the roof, and your credit score will decrease because they'll see month to month that you're carrying a large balance on your card. So any business owner that's using a business credit card, I would tell them the ideal percentage to use on the balance available is always 60%. If you're using 60% of the available balance on your credit card, it will positively impact your credit score as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And like I feel like I've been in this situation before. I know a lot of people have as well, is you need money quickly. And sometimes that credit card just becomes this, or your personal line of credit, whatever it may be, it becomes this like really enticing option where, okay, I have access to this pool of cash, but then they don't really think about, okay, what are the other options that are available? Like on paper, it may not sound like a good idea. And I think this all comes down to like the time cost of money, because then there are definitely time sensitive projects where, for example, like if you miss a deadline, you miss a deadline. You miss the season, you miss a season. What's the value of that money being in your bank account 1 week earlier, rather than, okay, let's wait, shop around for a deal, or find, talk to more institutions to figure it out. Can you talk a bit about this aspect of the borrowing costs as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the greatest points you can ever make when it comes to cost of getting money into your business and cost of funding on time. The number one thing I would tell you between all the businesses that we deal with is the time frame. If you're a business owner, for example, that owns a restaurant, and it's the summertime and your patio's not up yet, but you're waiting because you really believe that if you secure the best rate possible, you're going to be able to make the most money out of it. And you really mean the best for your business, because you know that already your profit margin is not too high. So you have to mitigate your risk by getting the best deal possible. But consider this: during the week that you didn't get that patio, and you have about 100 or 200 customers a day, you lost 1,400 customers. Can you positively say that the rate that you secured a week later was sufficient to cover the loss of customers and the revenue generated? And 99% of the time, the answer is no. Mm-hmm. It wasn't worth waiting that time, because you missed that opportunity. Sometimes you have to go for the more expensive option, because the time frame of getting the money is more important than the cost of getting the money. So it's that general mistake that we all trying to do, because especially when you study finance, and if you talk to any kind of advisors, they'll tell you that the interest rate is the most important thing, which it is. It is important on the long-term aspect. If you're looking for like $1 million and you need it to spread out across several years and you're making a big purchase, it definitely is. When you're looking at these smaller category investments where you need capital injected, the time frame is extremely important. And a lot of businesses don't take into account that when you go through the bank, that kind of process takes at least a month to 2 months. Not to mention, you need to provide business assets. They need to be able to collateralize it. You need to be showing a profit loss statement, cash flow projections, a business plan. So if you need that patio next week, or you need that inventory deal because you signed a deal with your supplier that could change the outlook of your business, the bank's not going to be there within a week. That's just not going to happen.
That patio scenario is very good. Do you have other stories of instant or clients that you've helped?
Absolutely. So I have a lot of customers that basically, I'll just give you one. One of my customers has a very heavy presence on Amazon, and my customer was able to secure a deal which would give her a 25% discount on her inventory, but she needed the money within 2 days. And that was the deal with the supplier, was because it was like an end of season order. If she got in the items in, she gets the 25% off. And she knows, because she's already on back order for a lot of products that are out of stock, that sold out really quickly, that was an instant make. Within 2 days, she got the capital. She sold out all the products that she had already ordered within a week. But because of that rolling capital that she received from our first loan, she made 10 orders of inventory in the year, and her business went up 300%. So there is definitely a cost of doing business in a certain time frame, but there's also where there's risk, there is reward, and where there is investing in the business in a short time frame, there is also a good result coming at the end. If your plan, you're precise, and you know you're getting a profit. If you have an investment that's going to cost you, let's say, $200,000, but you know that the return is going to come across 3 years, you need to go to a bank and really secure that kind of funds, because you know that that's going to be a long-term gain. That's not a short-term gain. But when it comes to SMBs, that's usually not the case. It's usually on a shorter time period. They need the money now. And just from my experience, I've seen so many businesses flourish with having that short-term capital that it's actually just a privilege to be part of their experience and see how their business grows. And it's absolutely amazing when you talk to somebody and you see them doing $20,000 a month, and you get them a business loan, and within a year they're doing $85,000, $100,000 a month. It's just a beautiful thing to see for a Canadian business owner.
Yeah, I think that another aspect that I think we touched upon briefly, and I want to summarize here, is that it really doesn't matter about the timing or if it's a good deal or not, as long as you have a solid plan on what to do with that money and how to grow your business. It becomes a question of optimizing the returns. So for example, that story that you just told us, okay, yes, maybe the interest rate is, I don't know, 15, let's hypothetically call it 15%, right?
Right.
Middle of the road, not good, not bad, maybe 20, let's call it that. But even if you consider that she had the 25% discount and she knows she's going to sell out, and then using that revenue, and of course, factoring her profit margin, she could potentially use that money to get more products coming in. So it seems like she has a game plan already going into it, and it's just trying to figure out, okay, when's the money coming in so I can act on this game plan.
Right.
That's super important, because I feel like all of this is a moot point if you're running your business and you don't have a game plan. It doesn't matter how much money you have.
Yeah, because you know what the thing is that when you're an SMB, you get thrown opportunities at you that you didn't see coming. It's owning a small and medium-sized business in Canada is like owning a baseball team. You're always going to be get thrown a curveball. How you hit the ball will depend on how your business goes. So if you're able to acquire credit, you're probably going to hit a home run. But if you just miss out on a day or 2 days of business or a day or 2 days of deals, chances are you're going to strike out. So it's just a play-by-play situation where you have to mitigate your risk. And you also have to know, is it worth for me today? Do I really need the money to go in? And if I need it, will I make a profit? Chances are that if you don't secure funding quick, you're probably losing on a lot of opportunities. Just to be 100% honest, from what I've seen, there's been so many businesses that have told us, that the day after that they've got the money, they were so relieved, because it wasn't just about growing it from that one point, but it's also a long-term vision that they have. And to acquire that long-term vision, you need to gain those shorter steps of accessing smaller amounts of credit first and building up your business credit, building up towards that path, so that your constant level of ROI is increasing and your constant growth of your business is increasing. And these are really important topics that, you know, our business owner shares with us, is that by acquiring funding quick in a very short time frame, it allows them to concentrate on other aspects of their business so that they're not investing too much. Because just as financing is important to get it in a very quick time frame, their time is very important as well, because they're investing so much of their own time. They can only spread themselves so thin. So they need a solution that's going to help them, but also help their business. So that's why I kind of see like the quickness of getting funding, how important it is. It is crucial for SMBs.
Yeah, I think speed and convenience are very, very important when you're running your business, so that you can act on opportunities, but also like you don't have to worry about, okay, am I missing a document that I need to send over, or do I have to chase after this person? You know, I work with a few. I actually have like accounts in several bank institutes. And sometimes it's just a pain to try to track down your representative, or track down someone to just ask questions and talk about like, hey, what are my options here? And there are times where like, okay, I don't have time to deal with this. I'd rather focus on, for example, building out this particular landing page, or like building out this connection with this other startup, with this other entrepreneur. So I totally resonate with that, like making sure I don't spread myself too thin to worry about cash flow.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, look, it's easier said than done. I mean, we all would like to have that perfect balance as a business owner, to be able to give our business the attention it needs, and also get all the money we need. You know, that's a magical place where everybody wants. And you know, when you're able to attain that perfect balance, you know that your level of comfort never goes down. You're always getting more and more hungry, which is great, because you realize that by acquiring whatever you've done so far, by accessing your credit, building your business, putting your goals and objectives together, that you're building towards that flow and that path, that you're going to keep making the correct moves to get to a higher level of revenue, a higher level of business. And that all comes with time. I mean, that comes with time, but it's a smaller steps, quicker steps that will get you there to the longer vision for your business.
Yeah, and I think like being able to access larger amounts of funding, it's almost like using the credit card analogy again, but on the other side. So like not necessarily using the credit card. Like there are certain credit cards out there that gives you access to perks and things like that, unlock quote unquote doors for you that otherwise wouldn't, if you had like
for sure
a run of the mill cashback card, for example, right? There's a difference between the Sapphire and the entry level credit card. And I feel that's the same way for credit, where like you get a larger amount, it can open more opportunities for you that you wouldn't have been able to unlock.
That's a fact. I mean, if a business doesn't have business credit, so if you've not already accessed credit, it's really hard to just walk through the front door and say, I need $100,000 or I need $300,000. It's just like we were talking about in the last episode, is that when you get a credit card for the first time, you don't expect to get a $20,000 credit card. That's just not realistic. It's the same thing for a business. When you create a business, when you incorporate a business, it's a whole other entity. Just think of it as your kid who's growing up, and you've already done the path to credit on the personal. Now let your kid grow and get that credit as well. And that's exactly what a business credit is, just a little bit more complicated and takes a little bit more time. But if you're able to access credit now and get that kind of investment going in right away, you'll be able to build credit quick. And that will make a massive difference for your business as well.
Yeah, and I think like being able to, I hesitate to use the word fast track, but it actually does like speed things up for you and open doors for you, like because you're able to reach a certain level much quicker in terms of your like revenue and your business, like your book of business, for example.
Yeah,
And that's like being able to reach a certain milestone quicker is can be quote like it can literally be life or death for a small business, right?
100%. I could not agree more. It's essential. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always going to be about time frames. It's really, really about the time frame and how it comes into to affect your business. And it's so important. But you can't blame yourself as a business owner if you get caught last minute with wanting to make an investment somewhere in the business or getting the funds. That's the name of the game. It's really going to come and go, and you're going to get opportunities coming in and out. You just need to know where to invest it and what to invest in it, because that's going to make or break your business.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. And I think
My pleasure.
I think we're gonna end off today with what you think would be a great tip or trick, or any advice that you would give to small business owners and entrepreneurs out there from your point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. So based on my experience, I mean, one key advice that I can give to business owners out there is don't only look on the inside of your business, look at the competition. A lot of times we want to look so deeply into our own organization, between our own doors, and see what's going on, that we forget that we are in an industry. We're in a market. Each and every single business is in an industry, whether you're a restaurant, whether you're a bar, whether you're a construction company, whether you're a marketing company, whether you're servicing special services to customers, whatever may be your industry, you have a competitor. Know your competition so that you can elevate yourself to the highest level of the market. The only way to be sustainable, to stay relevant in the market, and to be generating more and more revenue every year, you need to know what the competition is doing. So always research your competition so that you stay on top of the market and on the trend of your industry.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Great to have you on today's show. And again, let's chat and see if we can't get you back again.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for having me on, Brian. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Have a great night.
Hi, Brian here. I really appreciate you watching to the very end. This conversation with Zafir was amazing, and it was such a pleasure to have him back on the show again. And the concepts I want to kind of reiterate today, right now, is that having access to a lump sum of money, so for example, 60K all at once versus 20K 3 times over a period of time, is a completely different scenario. The lump sum 60K can open up doors, where a 20K would never have been able to. So the time cost of money and also the availability and the amount of money that's available to you is such a crucial aspect to factor in to calculating the ROI of any given opportunity. I'd really appreciate your feedback, whether you like or dislike this video with the buttons below. Comments below if there's opportunities that you've come across where having access to capital immediately or funding immediately would have changed the entire outlook or outcome of the situation. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're alerted when the next episode comes out. And I'm so excited to coordinate some of the new episodes that I have in plan for you guys. So stay tuned.